What up, peeps? Welcome back to the Flipside. Before I start this video, I just want to say that I was gonna have fucking background video for this, but but I have some crappy fucking uh screen capturing, screen recording, freaking Xbox game bar bullshit, to where if I have gaming, from a YouTube video in the background, with the sound off while I'm reading, it's still gonna play the ow. It's still gonna play the audio, and it's gonna be louder than me. So now I just have to do this picture. And if you don't know what this picture is from, then I am afraid you're not cultured enough. But yeah, I read all these stories, took me like 40 minutes, and I'd have to do this over again. But you guys are still gonna like it. I'll try and find a way to put captions on, but if I can't, blame Clipchamp because they fucking suck. Okay. So the top, if you're a member of my Discord and you actually, see what I put in Discord, then you would know that today's the day I'm doing my AskReddit video. You know those videos where these people read off stories from that subreddit AskReddit, where they, ask a topic. What's a secret you'll take to the grave? Or like, what's the incident that everyone remembers at school, and blah, blah, blah. And people in the comments post their stories. Well, I've got a pretty interesting topic. It's, what's a secret your family doesn't think you know, but you do? I've went through for an hour, I'd say, finding the most interesting stories. Some really long, some really short, but interesting nonetheless. I don't know what's going on outside my door, but yeah, because the rest of them were just like, oh, my mom cheated on or my dad cheated on da da da. We didn't, and he doesn't think I know, and like one of my relatives is actually not related, or my stepbrother is actually da da da. Okay, so without further ado, let's read the actually interesting stories. With story number 1. My aunt divorced my uncle in the 50s with 6 children. She had no job nor any means to support her and her kids, and had to split the family up, sending half the kids to her sister's house, while she and the other 3 stayed in another sister's home. She and her 6 children were treated like dirt. No one could understand why she left her husband. She died in the 80s, taking the truth to her grave. I became close to one of her daughters, who also died recently, but on her deathbed, drugged up from all the medication, she told me the truth. She told me her father, the uncle whom my aunt divorced, touched her all over when she was 12. And this guy asked, and this guy put emojis after the freaking blushing emoji and the crying emoji. Wow. Keeping it classy there, huh? I mean, this is just the start of some of this more juicy stuff we're going to get into. But that one was really interesting. I don't really have a comment about that one, other than it's pretty sad. I don't really have a comment. But, alright, next story. Anyway, next story. Wow. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background, so anyway, next story. Let's see. I lost it. Oh, here it is. Alright, next story. This is a long one, alright? So, this is a long one. The part they know I know now, because I vocally expressed my knowledge, is that my dad cheated on my mom while she was pregnant with my younger brother. There are a couple parts they don't know I know, and one they don't even know themselves. Number 1. My dad actively took me to see his mistress, my now stepmom, while he was still with my mom. I was really young, but I remember being around her while my parents were still married. It didn't click for me until I got older, and the rest of the family was really mad to find out when I told them. Number 2, the thing I know that my dad and the rest of the family don't know themselves is that my paternal grandpa continued to give my mom $1,000 a month on top of what my dad paid in child support because he was pissed at my dad for cheating. My mom actually told me a story about my dad trying to bail on a dinner where the divorce was going to be discussed. And my grandpa straight up said, "You're taking your fucking bitch ass to that dinner." My dad started favoring the kids he had with my stepmom, and my grandpa wasn't having it. Until the day he died, he would secretly give my brother and I extra for Christmas, birthdays, and etc. because he knew the other two kids were getting treated better. My mom told me many times that my grandpa was the only member of my dad's side she truly still loved after the divorce because of everything he did. Number 3, as if it wasn't enough. My grandparents paid for the house my dad and mom lived in, but my dad wanted to leave it when he got remarried. He didn't want the memories from it. Note that this house was 3 years old and really expensive. My dad threw a fit because he wanted to build a new one, family farmland. This pissed the rest of my family off because it was active farmland. This fit split the family in half, and it's still not fixed. My aunts and uncles still don't like my stepmom because of her rule. Wow. I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, you would think that after a few years your kid would kind of catch on, you taking your kid out to dinner to meet the mistress. Are you that stupid? Leave the kid at home if you're trying to keep a secret, because this guy knows now. All right. The next part I want to comment on is that props to the grandfather, okay? This guy, I think every single one of my subscribers would want this grandfather because he paid this guy's mom $1,000 on top of the child support from the cheating father, and gave him and his stepbrother, the guy, extra for Christmas. I don't know what that would be, cash or something else. Maybe it's cash, but I mean, come on. And it says until the day he died. Just, I'm snapping that up. Because I got my phone in this hand. But yeah, that's pretty sad. Anyway, next story. This one's pretty short, but it's still funny. My parents would wife swap with another married couple from my school. All of us kids were friends. We'd have Saturday night barbecues and wake up on Sunday like, "Oh, hey, Sue, where's Mom?" It didn't click until much later. My God. Okay, first of all, if you're trying to, keep a secret like that, I don't even know if it's a secret. But if they were, and they didn't want the kids really trying to figure it out, leave them at home. Since they're all friends and stuff, go, I don't know when parents would wife swap. Every Saturday, he said, we'd have Saturday night barbecues and wake up on Sunday. So, you're gonna do this little wife swap on Saturday, right? Since all the kids are friends, bring them over to some relative's house that's in on it. Probably someone that's wife swapping or whatever. And that sounds weird, because I know what that entails. Not that I know anyone doing it. I'm just saying I would think that it entails something inappropriate. Anyway, and then take turns babysitting, you know? So it would seem as if, oh, none of them are doing it. It's just a sleepover, so that no one would be waking up at other people's house slowly over the years figuring it out. That's all. That's so stupid. And then what happens when the kids find out? They're really fucking mad at you. Who knows what happens after that? But jeez. Anyway. Next story. Alright, this one's a couple paragraphs. I'm 99% sure that my brother, born 3 years before divorce of my mom and dad, is actually my half-brother, and his dad is my stepdad. My mom was cheating on my dad with the dude who was to be my new dad. To cover this crap up, my mom made a bunch of terrible lies about my dad. He killed my imaginary, it turns out, twin brother in utero, tried to kill me. He kidnapped us. My dad always hated my brother, etc., etc. That made me cut contact and plan his death for 35 long, angry, and wasted years, until I discovered all the lies. Unpacking this crap with my stepbro, we're tight, and we came to the same conclusion about my brother's real father. The tragic part was all these lies really messed with me and my brother's heads. My brother committed, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, self-death, the S word, the big S. At 18 with no note. For years I tried to figure out why he would top himself. And now I'm all but certain it was due to the Jedi-level mind tricks from my mom's attempts to hide her infidelity. My anger was channeled into rage. His went to sadness. Miss you, bro. You should be there. You'd have loved my kids. My little girl is just like you. Dude, that one is just extra heavy. With the end, him having a kid, and his stepbrother would like his daughter because she's just like him. Bro, that's sad, but not as sad as what's coming up. But, jeez, there's a lot to unpack here again. First of all, the mom has such manipulation that the son was planning his death for 35 years. Was he planning to kill him? Was he planning to kill his father? I mean, holy crap. Jesus. Anyway, because it said plan his death for 35 long years. Gee whiz. Alright, next story. My well-known and affluent grandfather did not die of a heart attack in the 60s while taking a smoke break outside a dinner during a snowstorm. We were told he was missing for days before officers arrived at my grandmother's doorstep to inform her that they had located his body buried in a feet of snow. My grandma told my father on her deathbed that he had been soliciting prostitutes. Am I allowed to say that on here? Prostitutes the day he died, and he was found days later dead in his car with his pants down to his ankles. Supposedly suffered a heart attack after a performance with a hooker. Wow. I mean, there's two sides of my thought process during this. First of all, why would you lie about how a family member died? Why would you even do that? But okay, I just want to get this out of the way first. The way the grandfather died is a way I would want to die. Okay? That guy must have been old to have a heart attack with after, doing it with a hooker. What? Hey, if I'm gonna have a heart attack, I'm having a heart attack after that. Okay? That sounds like fun. Okay? I don't want to die on some I don't want to die on some deathbed with some sickness. I want to die with my pants down to my ankles after having a heart attack with a hooker. If I were to die like that, I would be just fine. But let me get to my first point. Why would you lie about a grandfather passing away and how he died? First of all, it's not even believable. Why would your grandfather go out during a snowstorm to have a smoke break? What? Wouldn't he freeze? Like, why would he want to go out in the freezing cold to have a smoke break? What the fuck? If you're gonna keep a secret on how a grandfather died, don't tell them until they're older. Okay, just say, oh, well, that's something to know when you're older, but we're not gonna talk about that right now. That's what you do. That's what you do. You know, I think some parents need to have a fucking need to have a paper to confirm whether they're mentally able to take care of children. Anyway, next story. My mom and dad left in the middle of the night. I was left home alone with my 4 siblings after a couple hours at like 2 in the morning. I called my mom to find out what the hell was going on. She paused and I heard her ask Dad, "What do I tell her?" He responded, "Well, don't tell her he shot himself." Mom got back on the phone and said they were going to go help my step-grandma with something. Turns out the thing was scrubbing my grandpa's brain off the wall and funeral arrangements. So yeah, that's how I found out my grandpa died. Wow. Would you hold on a second? Wow. Okay, first of all, I got a lot to say about this one. Not only is this sad, but it fills me with white hot rage. Okay, inside. Fills me with white hot rage inside. First of all, I just want to say that, is it just me? Because this ties in with what I'm going to say. Is it just me? Or do people in your family have their phone volume while they're on a call all the way up for no reason whatsoever? And I can basically hear their conversation with the person on the phone. I can hear what the other person is saying on the other side. It's like, go out of the room because I don't want to hear your conversation. That's like sort of on the same level with people having, speaker conversations on the phone in public. Okay, it pops my kernels. Okay. So this ties in with my main point because first of all, you can hear a lot of stuff on the other side of the phone. And of all things to say while someone's on the phone is don't tell the kids that he shot himself. Okay, that should be obvious. Okay? I don't care if it's a whisper or very quietly being or very quiet, tone. You just don't say it at all. Okay? Jesus Christ. You just don't say it at all. There you go. That's how not to fuck up someone's childhood. Alright, next story. This is a long one, okay? This is a long one. I absolutely adore my mother. She's a single mother who got a master's degree in education while taking care of 3 of us all the way up to working being a head of a department in the DOE. I've never seen her drink, shout, act immature, act out in any unbecoming way, etc. My whole life, the one thing people commented on was how dassy my mother is. What does dassy mean? Because I've never heard anybody use that word ever. Okay? It must be like something from the UK or something. She's mighty dassy. Because I've never heard anyone say that in the history of my life. Alright, anyway, continuing. Then, 2 years ago, when moving out, I ended up accidentally taking one of her boxes of papers from the attic thinking it was mine. It was full of court documents talking about an affair my mother had with a married colleague where she allegedly got so upset. Okay, fix your grammar. Got so allegedly upset he ended it that she started to stalk and harass him, and he filed criminal charges on her as well as brought it to HR at her former job. The things he says my mother did in those documents, I can't imagine in 100 years. Yeah, why don't you put them in the story so it's more interesting for me? Thanks, but no thanks, because he didn't. Anyway, I don't know why I said that. But she admits it in the paperwork. I know why she left her state job and we moved to DC. Basically, there was some kind of deal made where she would leave and it would go away, and the criminal case was also pretty much dropped with the expectation and deal she would never contact him or bother him again. Like, what the fuck? It's made me really realize that you don't know anyone, really. That's true. And, props off to the two parties making a deal and dropping the criminal charges because you got 3 kids to take care of. I mean, okay. But anyway, that last sentence really hit me. And it should hit all of you. You don't really know anyone, really. I mean, that's true. I'm trying to remember what I said in my last failed recording, but it was something like, you don't really truly know someone until you know all the bad things that have happened to a time where it becomes painful. Someone may be such a nice person like that mother, but then you realize what kind of person they are when you find out what kind of things they did to you or someone else. And it becomes painful when you find out because it's been so long. I don't know, wise words from Flipside Vids, but let's get to the next story, shall we? Anyway, next story. This is quite a short one. My cousin's papillon. What's a papillon? Is that a pet? Because I'm assuming it is, because it says my cousin's papillon didn't run away. Let me know in the comments what a papillon is. Is that like a rodent or a dog? Or a cat or something like that? What's a papillon? Anyway, it was with my uncle drinking on the porch and watched that poor pup get snatched off the ground by a massive hawk. A blink and it was gone. There was nothing we could do. We looked at each other, and after a solid few minutes of silence, and he leans over, that fucking dog ran away. I nodded, and that was the last we discussed it. Wow, bro. First of all, that seems tough, but I'm also grateful that I basically know what happened to nearly all of the animals in my life. Okay? I had a fish who just died, along with a snail. It was a minnow. He died of, they don't live very long. The two dogs that I knew when I was about 4, they both died of cancer. The dog I had after that died of cancer. My guinea pig died of old age. My dad says my cat ran away. But I trust him on that because I don't know, I trust him on that because he cared about that cat. He really did. I should tell you, my dad once had a chicken coop. I don't know, he had like 4 or 5 chickens. I believe these are the stories my dad told me. One got one got one got taken by a hawk. So uh yeah, I know how that feels. But I didn't see it happen. Another one must have ran into the woods and never came back, probably got eaten by something. My dad says one got eaten up by a bobcat or a panther or some sort of big cat creature, like a panther or something like a cougar. And you only had like two left. So I don't really know what happened to the chickens, but I do know what happened to the rest of my animals. So yeah, that's pretty sad because I'm an animal guy. I love animals, and it just breaks my heart. But I'm glad that the person found out what happened because he saw it, not because they had been keeping a secret. But yeah. All right, next story. This one's quite short. My grandpa had an entire secret family. Even named his mistress's kids the same exact names as my mom and her brothers. No one knew until his funeral. They all think I was too young to remember, but I do. Wow. Okay, first of all, that was a short one, but I got a lot to say. First of all, you must have some sort of Jedi level Sith level manipulation. If you're able to balance if you're able to balance two families and not let them know about each other. I mean, that's crazy. There's a story that's similar to this one coming up, but I'll have a lot to say about that one too. Anyway, next story. Oh yeah, this is the one. My uncle has 3 kids none of our family has ever met. I didn't find out until after my uncle died. My mom knows that I know, but no one else. My uncle was a truck driver, and he drove all over the U.S. He has a girlfriend in every state, apparently. My uncle knew about the children, but he just didn't care. But he was married 6 times and had 2 children who he raised and loved. It's really weird that he didn't want those other kids or wanted us to know about them. Yeah, it is weird. I wouldn't want them to know either, but I mean, I would, but if I were him trying to keep it a secret, I wouldn't. First of all, like I said earlier, how do you balance? Okay, you know what sounds unbelievable? That he has a girlfriend in every state. That's 50 girlfriends that I hope don't know about the other 49. You, how often? How often is it that you go to all 50 states? I mean, I get you're a truck driver, you have to drive all over the country, but how often is it? You have to be taking some pretty long truck driving sessions to be balancing 50 girlfriends and raising 3 kids and having another family and having them not even know about it. And I wonder if the 50 girlfriends, probably not 50, but 50 girlfriends knew about the rest of the people in his life, like his family and the 3 kids. Because holy shit, that's about 3 secrets you're keeping. Because one doesn't know about the other girlfriend in one state, the one in another state doesn't know about the other one. 50 secrets. You got the 3 kids, that's 51. You got the whole other family, that's 2, and I'm assuming that the 50 girlfriends don't know about the other 2 secrets. Huh. 53. Or the other 3 are 2 secrets. But holy shit. This guy is you're a menace to society if your mind is capable of doing that. Okay. Next story. Da. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. Next story. This one's short as well. My well-known and affluent grandfather. Oh wait, hold on. Oh wait. Yeah, I must have sent these to myself like twice, but I'll find the next story. All right. Oh, here it is. Here it is. My grandfather lied about where he was stationed in World War II. He confided some in me in his last years, but a few slip ups on his part and some papers I found made me start questioning. He says he was stationed in Las Vegas at a supply warehouse the entire war, but has papers from the OSS, knows how to hotwire a single engine plane, and when I made some remark about a field manual saying to fire your gun into an enemy if your bayonet is stuck in them, he mumbled, "Yeah, done that a few times." My mom and aunts all like to dodge the question, but may not even know it all themselves. But my older cousin and I both agree he probably stacked bodies across Europe. Yeah, probably. I have a friend who has a bayonet. Okay, and fun fact, you can't really stitch up the wounds, can you? With the blade. I hope my friend knows that. I probably told her, but I hope she remembers. Anyway, da 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 da. Yeah, he probably did kill a lot of people and was too ashamed to, talk about it. And it was just too ashamed. I'd be ashamed of killing people, but I also don't blame him for doing what he had to do because it was orders. And he'd probably go to jail for disobeying orders, right? That's why I don't support the military because they make you kill people. And they just kill people. Okay, uh, you can unsubscribe from my channel, but I'll never change my views about the military. I'm grateful for what they did for us, but I'm not just talking about the U.S. military. I'm talking about all militaries. Okay, don't get me started on governments either. I think you guys know how I feel. All right, next story. This is the longest one, so be prepared. My mother is the reason my dad wasn't in my life for over 18 years. My sibling and I were supposedly abducted by my mother and left our country in Europe for the US. My mother is a US citizen, but my father was not, being from Europe. He took her to court here in the US, but for some reason, nothing amounted to it. I grew up listening and believing her stories about how he was a bad person and how he treated her, although she was pretty bad herself with the physical, mental, and emotional abuse I endured all my life with her. But because of the stories she told my sibling and I grew up hating him. Jeez. I came to a boiling point from the abuse she gave and decided one day to move out once I turned 22 and moved in with my wife, girlfriend at the time. My wife, girlfriend at the time, knew about how much. Oh, okay, I don't think we need to know that twice. Okay, anyway. My wife knew about how much it hurt me not being able to be or speak with my dad, so she secretly contacted him and put us in touch. 5 years ago, and my dad and I are reconnected, almost speaking daily. I get to I get to go back home yearly to reconnect with family. We both are and grateful to my wife. At first, it was difficult speaking to my dad as I had so much anger, hate, and questions for him. But I later learned my mom got married secretly before him and us, and that's how she got her U.S. citizenship. She ended up cheating on my dad, and that's how my dad found out about the previous marriage by contacting him to ask why they divorced. Once my dad told the man he wanted to ask about my mom, the guy told him to never contact him again because she ruined his life. All my family from my dad's side told me stories about how my mom made life difficult for my dad. I learned a lot about her and honestly put the pieces together with how she was as a human being. 5 years and I still have zero contact with her. can't blame the guy. I would do the same thing. Zero contact with a bitch like that. Anyway, Jesus. First of all, I just want to say that you don't deserve to go live in any country. You don't deserve citizenship to any country if you're just gonna use some guy to get a green card. Okay, get the fuck out. Second, hold on. I need to read something else. I need to know that I'm actually reading this because it's a nightmare. So, I just want to bring up the thought that she cheated on the dad, right? Left him for some guy that she used to get a green card. Did she cheat on him too afterwards? Because if she did, the children don't have a father figure in their life, which is pretty important to have. I'm lucky I do. But yeah. First of all, and also, the wife is a fucking angel. Okay, that's the kind of wife I would love to have. Okay, she helped reunite the guy with his father, and then the father and the family told him stories about how much trouble she was for the family. First of all, before I even have any children, if the wife was causing problems with you and your family, she was trouble from the start. Alright, next story. My grandfather's brother was murdered, and the parties involved framed it as a S word. In the 80s, he had the audacity to question how things were being run and was concerned about the conditions of the prison he was a CO at. The warden didn't take it kindly to that, and he and his county sheriff butt buddy had him arrested under the fake allegations, and he died from hanging 5 hours later. No questioning, no evidence that anything to warrant a legitimate arrest had taken place. He was just arrested at gunpoint and the hotel he was living at the time, and thrown into a cell. The sheriff's department made the call and refused to allow an autopsy to be performed. Yet when my aunt went to claim the body, there was absolutely no evidence that a hanging took place. His death certificate reads, unknown causes. Unknown causes. Bruh. They took him out, man. Look, never trust the cops. I don't trust any level of authority in this world. Okay? I trust my parents and my family. That's it. And my family's friends. Close friends. That's it. Okay? Let that story be a lesson. Don't trust the cops. Don't let them into your house if they don't have a search warrant. Okay? And if you still don't want to listen to me, just take a look at the Minneapolis police department. Very trustworthy people there. Yeah, murderers. Alright, next story. This one's a long one too. My grandfather was a high-ranking member of the KKK. He drove the other versions of it out of the state or forced them to unify with his group. He eventually ran for president under one of those fringe third parties and got a very low six-figure, high-figure number of votes, mostly from his group and his state. He mostly used his position to funnel money into his businesses and friends' businesses as he could sway local and state elections. After the 80s, he got driven out of the state by a combination of politicians that were tired of him and other criminal organizations that wanted the money he was siphoning from politicians and were more violent than him. Ended up hiding in a rural area in southern U.S. until he died about a decade ago. I have a sibling who tries to carry on his legacy, but she is an idiot. So she just comes off as this slutty white supremacist who makes demands of other white supremacists after banging them and gets ignored. I don't associate with most of my family, but they mostly pretend my grandfather was a successful farmer who ran an unusual profitable retail outlet on the side until bikers came into town and extorted him. They pretend my sister is just really bad at choosing partners and has been married 4 times and caught cheating by all of her spouses. I don't get invited to family gatherings because I tend to say things like, "How's it going, sis? Have you screwed any new skinheads lately?" That's brilliant. That's the kind of shit I would say. Anyway, dude, first of all, Dick, whoa. First of all, that guy, the uncle or the grandfather, I forget. I think it was the uncle. Grandfather. Part of the KKK. Why would anyone in your family try to carry on your legacy? Okay? Not only was he that, but he was such a threat that he was able to get other KKK members to either join or die. That's basically how it was. And another thing, I have my dog with me. Another thing is, yeah, did I mention the funneling of money from politicians? Yeah, that too. First of all, a successful politician would never align himself with the KKK. Okay? That's some sort of 1960s Republican bullshit. That sounds like to me. That shit's only successful back then. But I guess it worked. Please excuse the noise coming from outside. But what am I trying to say? Oh yeah, and I wouldn't associate with my sister anymore. If I was the family of that sister, I mean, come on. I mean, I guess, God would want us to forgive. But I really wouldn't want to speak to her. I'd forgive her, but I wouldn't speak to her. Because I can't associate myself with people. I can't associate myself with people like that. I'm sorry. There's so much hate in their heart for people that look different. It's just, I don't have that level of hate in my heart. I don't have that. I don't have it. Yeah. Because not only is she a white nationalist, she's a fucking slut. Alright, next story. Oh, wow, I didn't mean to do that. Whoops. Okay, next story. My uncle's death was a result of his affair with our neighbor. The husband, a cousin, found out about the affair and the two men fought. My uncle died on the way to the hospital, driven by his sister's then boyfriend, and my grandmother managed to keep it quiet to save the family from embarrassment. This was rural, I don't know what state this is, WV. What is that? West Virginia! There it is. Rural West Virginia in the 1970s. Grandma and my aunts tried to hide it from my dad, but he found out about the affair and fought on the school bus a few days later. My aunt has always said that Joe died of some health issue and has no idea that I know. The neighbor and wife still live nearby, and we believe that their youngest daughter is my Uncle Joe's kid. Hey, Just sounds like another episode of Family Guy to me. I don't know. All right, this is the last. This is the last story. So listen in, folks. My mom doesn't know that I know she's been cheating on my dad ever since they got married. I was very young when my mom used to take me and my sis to restaurants to meet up with that guy, and he thought he was just just her friend. Now that I've grown up and realized what's happening. Okay, fix your grammar, dude, because I thought there was another part to this sentence. Anyway, I sometimes eavesdrop on her conversations over the phone, and she's always fighting with him to send her money. Some time back, my parents were arguing pretty badly, and my dad said, "I know what you were doing all this time. I just care about my children. That's it." I didn't know my dad knew about it. I always thought about telling him about this, but never had the guts, to be honest. I've never liked my mother. She was always abusive. I feel so bad. My dad has been enduring all this for so long. You know, me too. I think most of us would. But first of all, if your mother was if you notice that your wife is abusive to your kids, wouldn't you take them? Because it's gotten so long now that she's abusing you, the husband. And and I know that it's good to have a motherly figure in your life as well, but to be honest, I would take the kids and get out of there. I mean, would anyone else agree? What don't leave them with a person like that. Oh my god. Once again, I think parents need to have a paper be signed so that they're mentally able to take care of a kid successfully. And that's why I'm not having kids, because I don't want to put that level of, I don't know, let's say bad luck on them. Because you may think you're marrying someone amazing, and they've never cheated on you, and they're they're just so great. But then you have kids and the game changes, okay? That's how it was with my dad and stepmother. So, but I'll get into that story another day. Um, well, I wish this video could have been better with the gaming background. I was gonna make and that background video was gonna be JD Breezy's, and I was gonna make a shout out to him. And you know what? I still will. I'm gonna make a shout out to him and put the video that I meant to play over this in the description down in this video. So, yeah, there you go. There you go, JD Breezy. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I certainly did, even though I had to do this twice. Let me know if you would like to have me do something like this again, because it was fairly interesting, and there's a lot of topics on, AskReddit. Not all of them are interesting, but it's in the eye of the beholder. And with all that said, I will see you guys next week back on the flip side. Peace.